Welcome to The Project, coming to you tonight from the traditional lands of the Kulin Nation. Victoria's top cop has today blown the whistle on his own force, reading the riot act to officers over bad behaviour ranging from racism to violence to drug taking and sexual harassment. And a warning to Indigenous viewers, this story contains the image of a deceased person.
Ship up or shape out. And if you're involved in that bad behaviour, you will be gone.
Victorian Police on notice. The Commissioner calling out rotten cops in an email sent to every member of the force.
It wasn't one singular issue that made this come up. I'd seen a rise in discipline hearings over the past year, and there were some real key themes that very much alarm me.
Those themes include predatory behaviour, sexual harassment, homophobia, racism, drug taking, drink driving and family violence.
We dismissed 17 police officers over the last year. We have had 31 resign whilst they were awaiting that.
And it's costing them. Vic Police paying out $16 million in bad behaviour lawsuits last financial year, a $10 million increase on the previous reporting period.
Police force is growing, so when it grows you have more people. When you have more people you'll have more of those sorts of issues as a general rule.
It's not the first police force to face a reckoning. Just 3 months ago, an explosive inquiry in Queensland ripped open a cover-up culture of bullying and abuse.
This has not just happened overnight. This has been happening for quite some time.
NT Police also forced to face claims of systemic racism, homophobia and sexism as the inquest continues into the death of Kumanjayi Walker, who was shot by Officer Zachary Rolfe in 2019. So as the horror stories continue to roll in, how do we hold police to a higher standard than those they're tasked with policing?
If you are seeing bad behaviour, if you are seeing misconduct, not only do you have an obligation, I want you to come forward and don't accept standards that I don't accept, that the community wouldn't accept.
Jeremy King is a lawyer who specialises in police accountability and he joins us now. Jeremy, what specific examples of police behaving badly have you come across?
There are unfortunately many examples of police behaving badly, but the ones that obviously will stick out in the community are the Lawyer X scandal, Danny Laidley, the Hares and Hyenas raid, the case of Ethan Cruz, the case of John, the disability pensioner, the case of Chris Karadaglis, who became a quadriplegic after his interaction with police. It's everything from failing to disclose proper information in a criminal case to leaking confidential information of police databases, to leaking confidential information of people who are in police custody, to assaulting and battering people, to falsely imprisoning people. Really, there's a whole range of misconduct that has been occurring, unfortunately, with Victoria Police for as long as I've been practising.
The Commissioner today essentially went with the few bad apples line. Is that true, or do you think that the issue is actually far more systemic than that?
I think what the Chief Commissioner's email showed, and to be fair, it is a welcome acknowledgement, but what it shows is it's not a few bad apples. What we have here are cultural and systemic issues within Victoria Police that have been happening for years and that accountability advocates have been saying have been happening for years and the police have been denying, but now finally they acknowledge it. And what that leads to really is a conclusion that unfortunately it's not a few bad apples. This is a situation where we have real cultural and systemic issues within Victoria Police. And the reason that's allowed to happen is because we have no external police oversight in Victoria, really. Nothing meaningful, there's no accountability, and so they've been allowed to do what they want and police themselves, and this is the outcome.
So I'll come to the external oversight in a sec, but when you talk about the systemic nature of it, say the examples you're mentioning there of, people accessing databases that they shouldn't be or whatever, do you mean that sort of behaviour is systemic, as in that's just commonplace among police officers rather than being exceptional and exceptionally bad behaviour?
That's a very good example of something which has been systemic and been going on for a long time. There have been countless reports about accessing LEAP, which is the police database, and unlawfully accessing it and police using it for their own purposes back to 2005. I think almost every investigatory body, including IBAC, has concluded over 2 decades that police have been misusing that database. And really, because they can get away with it, they'll continue to do that.
Right, which is a problem because police power is very significant power. So you say you think there needs to be independent oversight. What would that look like?
Well, what we have in Victoria right now is we have a split system where Victoria Police and IBAC handle external police oversight, but 98% of police complaints are dealt with by Victoria Police, and IVAC deal with 2% or less of those complaints. So really what that means is there is no meaningful external police oversight. And what that's led to is a call for an independent police ombudsman, similar to what they have in Northern Ireland. That's what we need in Victoria. That's what we need to make sure there's real accountability, so these issues, as identified by the Chief Commissioner, stop and are properly addressed. And also so the community has faith that when they do complain about police, when police do step over the line, something will actually be done about it.
Jeremy, thank you so much for your time tonight.
No worries, thank you.
It's such an important issue, isn't it? Because we talk about abuse of the heaviest power we have. And as these pile up around the country, you'd have to think independent oversight will just have to naturally evolve. Like, I don't know that there's any alternative at this point.
Absolutely. Well, crime and bad behaviour